Hello, my name is Nathan Baker. I'm here today to go over the fire engine here at Station 89.5 with York Area United Fire and Rescue. I'm stationed on B shift at the Farmtrail Road station. This here is our 2018 Spartan fire engine. It has 1,250 gallon pump on it for pumping water with 600 gallons booster tank on it that we carry anytime we're driving around ready to go. We'll go back through the engine. The driver's seat is up through here. The driver, the one that's responsible for getting us to the calls and for making water come out of our hoses if we were to show up to a fire, he operates out of this area here. Steering wheel, he has his instrument panel up top of there. He can put the pump in gear from this spot, turn the lights and sirens on. There's headsets, there's map books, everything that the driver would need to be able to get to the emergency. As we go back through the truck, this is the rear cab door. The other side is mirrored, but basically here is where the crew would sit. In the back we have two seats for extra firefighters that have air packs in the back. As well as all of our gear. You can see the driver's gear has his stuff staged and ready to go. Also, there's a cabinet where all of our medical supplies are, our AED or medical bag, along with some fire prevention stuff as well. As we come towards the middle of the truck here, this is called the pump panel. The driver that we were talking about earlier, he is basically responsible for this entire area of making water flow out of our hoses if we were to have a fire. So each of these, there's discharges at the top, so basically this is where the water comes out. We have intakes in the center. This is how we would get water in if we were using a fire hydrant or some kind of drafting operation if there were no fire hydrants. All these levers across here is basically when you pull those, that's what makes the water comes out. We'll show the lines in the back of when you operate those, how they come out. As a throttle, so as we give it more fuel and throttle up the engine, the hose pressure will increase and more water will be able to come out of the hoses. As we come back down through the body of the engine, there's compartments that go the whole way around where it's storing all of our tools. It's kind of like a big toolbox where we have everything that we would need to show up to an emergency. This first compartment here is again for the pump operator or the driver. There's various adapters in here for all of our hoses. We have multiple length hoses, anywhere from 5" as being our largest down to 1¾ being our smallest hose. And with that, there's various appliances to be able to make the connections and make that work. Also in here we have another air pack that is for the driver. There are instances where the driver does not need to be at the pump panel and we're not using this engine as suppression. So basically the entire crew on the engine would gear up, grab their air pack, and then be able to go and assist with any other firefighting activities. As you come down through the side, this fire engine also responds to vehicle accidents as well as fires. And once we get towards the back here, we'll just touch base on some of the vehicle accidents or type of tools that we would use for vehicle accidents. Up top here, we have our rescue struts. So basically, if a car would roll over or be on its side and you're still inside, we would need to be able to stabilize that to be able to get you out so the car wouldn't rock or fall down on its roof or go back on its wheels and hurt us or ultimately hurt you. So we have two of those struts where we could put those up to basically make the car as stable as it can be before we can get you out. Coming back towards the back end here, this is where we have our battery operated and our fuel equipment. We have a chainsaw here, which is kind of like your regular chainsaw, but it's a little bit beefier, has a different chain on it, a little bit bigger engine, and what that's used for is if there were any smoke or fire in your house and we would need to get the smoke and heat out for our firefighters that were going on the inside, we'd be able to cut a hole in your roof to alleviate all the toxic smoke and gases out of there. Down here, this is what formerly kind of what you would call the jaws of life. It's our Genesis rescue tool. It's all battery operated. There's no hydraulics or gas or anything oils to go with that. It actually operates off of a Milwaukee battery, just like you would get at Home Depot or Lowe's. Basically with that, it's called a combination tool, where we could cut or spread any kind of metals in a car. So if you've got an accident, an auto accident, and your door's smashed in and we can't get you out, we'll be able to use that tool to basically pry and smash and cut to the metal to be able to remove it to get you out. We'll come around towards the back of the vehicle here. This is where all the hoses and everything are going to be stored. So if we were to have a fire, this is where basically we're going to go first to the firefighter to get his hoses. As you can see, going from the left to the right, that we have a large variety of different diameter hoses. We basically have two different kinds. One is called an attack line and the other is called a supply line. So basically the larger diameter, which here would be our 5-inch, a little bit smaller but still larger is our 3-inch. We use that to connect the hydrants to be able to get water from the hydrant or get water from some kind of water source into our fire engine itself. The next lines we have here, they stick out with the nozzles. These are called our attack lines or crosslays. Basically what they're used for is this is what we're going to take inside your house or inside a building, or if there's a car on fire, the firefighter on the other end of that line is going to pull that hose out to extinguish the fire. They're in various lengths and diameters. We have the 1 3/4 and we have 2-inch. These are all 200-foot pre-connected, so when we pull that out from the rear bumper to the end is 200 feet. And then as we come down here, this is 2-inch in diameter, 1 3/4 in diameter, and these are 300 feet. So depending on where we park the engine, depending on how far away your house is from the road, might depict on what size hose we're going to end up pulling. The 5-inch here, and then again, this is a pre-connected 5-inch. Basically, all we would use that for is if we would need some type of water source, like a hydrant, we would pull up to the hydrant, pull our large diameter hose out, and connect it directly into the hydrant, turn it on using a hydrant wrench, and then that would basically be sending the water that's in the ground running with the pipes into our fire engine over to the pump panel for our engineer to be able to make the water flow. We'll come around to this side. This is called the officer side. We'll start up top. These are hoses as well. It's called hard sleeve. So if we were in an area where there were no hydrants, like a pond or a creek or anything that we could basically get water out of, we would use that too. We would connect into the side of our fire engine. You can kind of see down there, there's a strainer on that. We'd stick that down over the bridge or any kind of water source, a pond. We'd basically be able to suck the water out of the pond right into the fire engine, just like a hydrant would be. Going down below are ladders. All the vehicles that we have here at York Area United all have ladders on them. Basically what they're for is rescue. If your house were to be on fire and you're trapped in the 2nd story or the 3rd story, we'd be able to take these ladders, get them up in a pretty fast manner, and be able to effectively rescue you and your family out. We do have 3 different types of ladders. The first one on the outside is just a 14-foot straight ladder. So it's not like your typical extension ladder or whatnot that you might have at home. The one behind that's a 24-foot ladder, so when we raise that up the whole way, it'd be about 24 feet, and we'd be able to go to 2nd story windows as well as some 3rd story windows. Behind in this little compartment, there's a 10-foot out ladder. It folds up, so if we need to get inside your attic or in a really tight crawl space, we'd be able to unfold that and then go up at least 10 feet to be able to get into your attic. We'll come around to this compartment. This compartment has a little bit of everything in. The Tidy Cat containers here, it actually has what's called stay dry in it, or oil dry. So if we come up to an auto accident and there's some fluids leaking, like windshield washer fluid, motor oil, transmission oil, we basically would take that down, it would suck it up, we'd sweep it up and then dispose of it appropriately. Above there we have some cones, your pop-up cones, so if we needed to divert traffic if there was an accident, we could do so with that. We have some more appliances for hose and some bigger nozzles if we were to have a big fire and we needed to get a lot of water, and to that fire we have different blitz fires and ground monitors for that. In these compartments here, there's 2, they're mirrored identical, is basically just spare cylinders for our breathing apparatus. We can last roughly 45 minutes, and that all depends on how fast we're working and how much work we are doing. But in the event that we'd have to go back in, we do have spare cylinders that we would be able to use to refresh ourselves with. And then the last compartment here, it has your standard ABC fire extinguisher. It also has a pressurized water fire extinguisher in there as well as some adapters and tools for our hoses, and then PFDs, personal flotation devices, in case we were to come in contact with any water rescue calls or cars and waters or anything of that nature. We'll come down to the reverse side of the pump panel. Basically, this is pretty simple over here. There's no levers or knobs, but we have the discharges again, just like on the other side, as well as the intake. And then we do have one compartment up here. On the top section, we have some brooms and some rakes for brush fires, to try and rake any sticks or leaves back. And then down below, we have some more hoses here. These are what we call our high-rise bundle packs. And what they're used for is if we were to have a mid-rise or a high-rise building, we would be able to take those hoses inside, and there's a standpipe in there, which basically the fire engine would stretch hose from the engine to the building. There's a pre-piped waterway in there that you would charge the system, and then we could go to any floor on that, say the 8th floor. We'd be able to go up with our hoses, climb the stairs, make the connection to the waterway, and then stretch our lines to the hallway to put the fire out. We have 3 of those racks there to be able to use for whatever we would need. Coming down the back side of the officer, or the front side, excuse me, we have the other seat for the firefighter to sit with SCBA, and then this is the reverse side of where the medical supplies are kept. And the last compartment here is the officer compartment. The officer in the compartment is typically a captain. He is responsible for getting us to the call. He's responsible for the crew. If we are the first ones to show up, he'll take command of the incident, and he'll basically get the ball rolling as far as what needs to get done and directing other units as they come on scene as to what needs done and who's going to do that. Inside there you can see we have a tablet. It's an iPad. It basically has all of our mapping systems on there, our hydrants. That's how we are able to show up in a pretty quick manner, know where the hydrants are already, because when we're driving down the road we can pull that up and be able to visually see that. He also has an air pack in there as well as his officer bar. That pretty much concludes with the officer section there. Then the last section we have here is the front bumper. The front bumper is where we also have some hose. Basically, this hose here is for if we have a dumpster fire or car fire, or if your house is relatively close along the street, we would be able to use this hose. And the reason that is it's a little bit shorter than the lines that we have in the back. We have 150 feet in the front here in this trough, and then we have 100 feet over here. It's racked a little bit differently as you saw on the back, but when you pull it out and stretch it from the bumper to the end of the nozzle, it's again 100 feet and then 150 feet. That concludes our tour of Engine 89.5. Hope you enjoyed it, and look forward to more apparatus videos for York Area United Fire and Rescue.